separating the state affairs completely from the religion is an idea of Western secularism. But when I'm seeing the Indian perspectives, it is totally different. In India, we are not ready to separate religion from our state affairs, starting from India's independence. But in terms of poverty and hunger, India is also even worse than so many South Asian countries. Even like Pakistan is better than India. These are all before what I discussed so far. And after 1990s, the situation was completely changed. India is no longer a socialist country. Our Indian government cannot able to propagate the socialism openly because we are having some kind of limitation after 1990s. By the way, the government of India accepted the principle of liberalization, privatization, globalization under the hegemony of a capitalistic America on one side and the World Trade Organization on other side. And exactly in 1994 and 1995, India became the founding member of World Trade Organization. And the World Trade Organization is encouraging the idea of liberalized, privatized, globalized world. So your idea of socialism is no longer valid. The international community can able to put a pressure upon the Indian government that you have to reduce your activity, allow private people to do, and private people means individual ownership, and private people comes means there should be an idea that you have to liberalize your restrictions from the government side upon land, upon resources, upon everything, and everything should be come under the process of globalization, that your country belongs to them and their country belongs to you in terms of economic parameters, open market concept. So before the open market concept, the situation as per the preamble was okay, well and good. Socialism, socialistic pattern, India practiced. But after 1990s, the 1991, India accepted the principles of LPG era. And after that, India accepted the idea of WTO on the basis of Uruguay Round in 1994 and 1995, the World Trade Organization, the so-called World Trade Organization, to create a free trade area in the entire world through the free trade agreements. They want to go for a free trade area. That free trade area is a principle, is against the idea of socialism. In socialism, it is the duty of the government to regulate the social and economic inequality, and they can also taking care of the land related issues upon the people. But when I'm looking into the idea of socialism after 1990s, state cannot be able to do certain things because it is a liberalized, it is a privatized, it is a globalized. One person can able to develop its wealth. A rich become richer and richer become richest. Poor become poorer and poorest. Now the gap is keep on widening since 1990s. That is why nowadays a lot of billionaires are there inside in our country in the top 10 world list. But in terms of poverty and hunger, India is also even worse than so many South Asian countries. Even like Pakistan is better than India. Like this manner reports are coming. Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and Nepal are better than India. Then India is in terms of hunger index and all doing worst because we slowly and steadily we accepted the idea of capitalistic idea of liberalized, privatized, globalized world. Here individual properties only, individualism only will gain its popularity rather than a socialistic idea, because it was the compulsion after 1990s. Before 1990s, the preamble is a core idea. How the way the changes happened, because before 1990s, the government were simply to taking care of welfare and well-being. That is an objective of Indian Constitution. Before 1990s, the role and objective of the government to taking care of the objective of the Constitution. It was a welfare-based government at the time of 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And after 1990s, state started withdrawing from its activity. It was a socialistic government, socialistic state before 1990s. And after 90s, the role and activities of the government went down, and in their shoe, the private players entered into the gap filling area done by the private rather than the government. Government started withdrawing, private started occupying. So private role became more. Private means individualism. That is an idea against our preamble, but still that is a need of the hour. The world is going from the idea of bipolarity between capitalism versus communism since 1945 to till 1990s. But after 1990s, the bipolarity has gone after the disintegration of Soviet Russia. So the disintegration of Soviet Russia came, and that was the end of Soviet Russia, and no more bipolarity, only unipolarity. USA, capitalism became the dominant force. So a country like India also adopted herself to the changing nature of the world. As per this idea only, India accepted the concept of liberalization, privatization, globalization, and based on this purpose only, based on this idea only, India slightly modified her principles also in terms of socialism in order to give importance to liberalized, privatized, globalized world. When I'm comparing with the Western ideas with the Indian ideas, the secularism is a principle generally very popular inside the European country. The way how you people studied about your world history, the Holy Cross War, they will say. The interference of church inside the European polity became the dominant one. The conflict between the church and kingdom came into existence. On the basis of that, even after the French Revolution from 1789 onwards, the European powers decided, the France as a country decided to go for a new method, that the secularism, which means separating the state affairs completely from religion. Separating the state affairs completely from the religion is an idea of Western secularism. The state never and ever encourage religion, and state and never and ever tolerate the interference from any religious activities. That is an idea of Western secularism. But when I'm seeing the Indian perspectives, it is totally different. In India, we are not ready to separate religion from our state affairs, starting from India's independence, starting from the Nehruvian time, starting from the time of Nehru, Indira, Rajiv, or various other people. So they don't want to separate religion from state affairs. But they simply say that the secularism from the Indian perspective was totally different, because we won't separate religion. We won't separate religion from the affairs of state. We will treat all religion equally. That is a necessary point. We can able to talk about Indian secularism. That is a major difference between Western secularism and Indian secularism. Western secularism completely separate religion from the state affairs. Indian secularism will treat every religion equally, will provide choices to the people as per your need and desire. You can propagate and practice any religion. The democracy 1.0 idea, as per the knowledge and the expression of Mr. Lincoln, the most popular leader in this world, by the people, for the people, of the people. When I'm going to discuss democracy 2.0, if it is critically examined, then you can write these kind of things, that from by the people, now the things are going buying people, from for the people, the things are going far away from the people, from of the people, the things are going off the people permanently if they ask too much of questions. That is a democracy 2.0 is also happening in this modern world. What it means? Democracy is by the people only. The most important thing, freedom and liberty, you can able to feel the concept of freedom completely, but you can't able to feel the concept of liberty. Liberty is a sense of feeling, and freedom is a kind of things you are going to get it, and you won't get liberty. Freedom, we can able to say, I am having every freedom to do whatever I want to do inside my country. I can able to travel from Kashmir to Kanyakumari with the reasonable restrictions. I can able to do any kind of business. It is my freedom, freedom of rights as per Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. But when I am looking into the idea of liberty, it is a preamble concept, not properly enforced inside our fundamental rights. But liberty is an idea, is a kind of feeling only happening inside. The feeling, on the basis of that, there is no unreasonable restriction on the citizens in what they think. That is the most important thing. This is thinking. You can have the feeling, but you can't be able to show in action. And they wish to express their thought, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action, when it is going to convert it into an action. For example, LGBT, once upon a time, it was a taboo inside our country, and people will put strictly against those kind of LGBT things. It is a psychological aberration, people will say that. Now, people realize that it is not in human nature or the unnatural things. It is a psychological issues people are having. So, on the basis of that, the same-sex marriage also accepted by the court nowadays in a legal manner in order to enforce the idea of liberty on Indian people and Indian citizens. So, best example we can able to say.